Lai Dievs svētī cienījamie radioklausītāji un skatītāji. Raidījums pēc 7 dienām. Pie mikrofona Tālivaldis Tālbergs. Un, kā jau jūs zinat, katru reizi es izvēlos kādu interesantu, jeb kādu aktuālu jautājumu, par ko runāt, kas ir noticis iepriekšējās 7 dienās. Un šodien mums ir ļoti īpaša diena, īpaša privilēģija, ka mūsu studijā mēs varam sveikt mūsu Latvijā Izraēlas vēstnieci Latvijā Sandru Simoviču kundzi. Labdien!
Labdien!
Kāpēc Sandra Simoviču kundzi mēs aicinājām? Tikai tāpēc, ka 7. oktobris ir ļoti traģiski. Notikumi notika pirms gada Izraēlā. Un ne tikai tas vien. Jūs, mīļie radioklausītāji un skatītāji, zinat, mēs Dievu bērni. Tā ir žēlastība, kuru mēs esam saņēmuši caur Izraēlu tautu, caur Izraēlas tautas brīnišķīgo dēlu Jēzu Kristu, Dievu dēlu. Un tāpēc tas, kas notiek Izraēlā, skar arī mūs visus. Un gribu sacīt ļoti lielu paldies, Simoviču kundze, ka jūs atradāt laiku būt šeit, jo jūs kā vēstniece esat neilgu laiku Latvijā, ja nemaldos, no 13. augusta. Un pateicos arī Maritai Ginterei, kur palīdzēs tulkot. Un, protams, priecājos, ka mūsu studijā ir mūsu programmas direktora Inga Skuja, kur mēs šo raidījumu vadīsim. Un vēl vairāk, Inga, tu biji pasākumā, kas notika kā atmiņas, piemiņas diena Izraēlas vēstniecībā. Bet par to vairāk raidījumā mēs pastāstīsim. Tātad jūs esat pārņēmusi vēstnieces amatu laikā, kad jūsu valstī ir ļoti, ļoti sarežģīta situācija. Vai mēs varētu nedaudz ieskatīties jūsu dienas kārtībā un kas jūsuprāt ir tas galvenais, jeb tas, kas jums sagādā gandarījumu strādāt šajos grūtajos apstākļos, bet esot Latvijā?
We are happy to welcome you. Thank you for your time, for coming to our broadcast. And I will start with my first question. You have taken over the ambassador's position quite recently and in a difficult time for your country. Most probably it's not easy to represent your country in such a difficult situation. Can we have a little glimpse into your daily work as an ambassador, and can you share what gives you most satisfaction in this work?
So first of all, I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to come here and be able to speak with you today.
Jūs varbūt uzreiz.
Jā, pirmkārt, paldies par iespēju būt šeit šodien un runāt ar jums.
Yes, you are right. I began my position as ambassador in a very challenging time. This is the most challenging and the most difficult time that Israel has gone through since it was established in 1948.
Jā, un jums ir taisnība. Es esmu pārņēmusi šo amatu ļoti izaicinošā un ļoti grūtā laikā mūsu valstī. Izraēlas valstī šis ir grūtākais un izaicinājumiem pilnākais laiks kopš valsts dibināšanas 1948. gadā.
And the last year, or what happened to us on the 7th of October, is the worst thing that happened to the Jewish people since the Holocaust.
Un tas, kas notika pirms gada 7. oktobrī, ir sliktākais, kas ir noticis ar ebreju tautu kopš holokausta laikiem.
And not only that, but it is not over. it did not end on the 7th of October. The 7th of October was a horrible beginning, but we are still into this horrible period. We still have 101 hostages held in Gaza. We still have rockets that are being fired daily from Gaza and from Lebanon for a year already. So this is not, we were not able to process our grief or to grieve for the many, many hundreds of people we lost. But we had to immediately go on and defend ourselves and fight for our lives and for our existence.
Jā, un trakākais ir tas, kas sākās pirms gada 7. oktobrī, nav beidzies. Vēl joprojām Gazā atrodas 101 ķīlnieks. Mēs neesam varējuši izsērot šo laiku. Mums tūlīt pat bija jāsāk aizstāvēt sevi, jo Gazā vēl joprojām atrodas 101 ķīlnieks. Katru dienu no Gazas, no Libānas tiek izšautas raķetes, un mums ir jāturpina aizstāvēt sevi, savu valsti, savas dzīvības.
So, of course, it's hard to be here when I know that my family and my friends are in Israel, and they have to go through all this, and they are basically in daily danger. I have my mother, who is over 70. I have my sister and her family. And I have a daughter who is 22, and she lives in Israel. She's a student. And they, my mother at 70, and all my family, they have to run to shelter when there are alarms. Last week there was a terrorist attack in Jaffa, which is very close to where we live, and 7 people were murdered just because they were on the train going home. A mother was killed. She was holding her baby, and the mother was murdered, and they saved the baby, who she held, and took him to hospital. So this is really an unbearable reality, and it's hard for me, of course, to be here when half of my heart is in Israel.
Jā, un man, protams, ir grūti būt šeit, šajā laikā, kad mani draugi, daļa manas ģimenes vēl joprojām atrodas Izrēlā, un viņiem ir šīs šausmas katru dienu jāpiedzīvo. Izrēlā vēl joprojām ir mana māte, kurai ir 70 gadi, mana māsa ar ģimeni, mana meita, kurai ir 22 gadi, un kas Izrēlā studē. Un viņu ikdiena ir tāda, ka atskanot gaisa trauksmē, viņiem vēl joprojām ir jāskrien uz patvērtnēm. Un tikai pirms nedēļas notika traģiskais uzbrukums Džafā, kur tika nogalināti 7 cilvēki vilcienā, tostarp māte, kura turēja rokās savu mazuli izdevās izglābt un nogādāt slimnīcā, un tāpēc, man ir ļoti grūti būt šeit, apzinoties, kas katru dienu notiek Izrēlā.
What helps me a lot, of course, is that I believe very much in the state of Israel, in Israel's right to defend itself, and that what we do is a necessity, a very much needed war of defense, and I truly believe in it. Basically, I'm a lawyer as profession. Before I became a diplomat, I was a lawyer. And since I became a diplomat, I always, I half in a joke say that I have one client. And this client is the state of Israel, and I represent the state of Israel, but I represent it wholeheartedly and truly believing that what we do now is not only for us, because we are now at the front, but we are fighting the war of the Western world, the war of Europe, of all those who want to live in a free world, in a safe world, a world without terrorism. So it's Israel now who is paying the price and fighting against Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Syria,
all
Iraq, terrorists, and Iran, who is supporting and pushing them all forward. But we are doing it also for our allies, for our partners, for all those who want to live in peace and security.
Kas man palīdz, ir tas, ka es ļoti ticu Izraēlas valstī. Es ticu, ka Izraēlas valstī ir tiesības sevi aizstāvēt, un es ticu, ka šis aizsardzības karš ir ļoti nepieciešams. Pirms es kļuvu par diplomāti, es pēc profesijas biju juriste, un tagad es daļēji kā joku mēdzu teikt, ka tagad man ir viens klients, un tā ir Izraēlas valsts, kuru es aizstāvu un pārstāvu no visas sirds. Un es ticu, ka tā cīņa, tas karš, ko mēs tagad izcīnām, nav tikai mūsu karš un mūsu cīņa, tā ir cīņa visas rietumu pasaules vārdā, visas Eiropas vārdā, tā ir cīņa to cilvēku vārdā, kas vēlas dzīvot brīvā, drošā pasaulē, kurā nav terorisma. Un tāpēc, jā, mēs šobrīd cīnāmies pret Hezbollah, mēs cīnāmies pret Hamas, pret Sīriju, pret Irānu, kas stāv aiz tā visu un visu to atbalsta, bet mēs esam pārliecināti, ka darām to ne tikai savā labā, bet visas rietumu pasaules labā.
Thank you. Okay.
Can I just add something?
Please, please.
Because you said what is also hard for me is to explain the complexity of the situation. There are many people, especially young people, who consume their information from digital media, and they don't always go in depth. They tend to identify with whom they think is the, weak side with the Palestinian, and they don't want to look into the complexity, to understand the facts, and they take one side without really bothering to learn better what it is all about. So for me, it's very important to have a dialogue with whoever wants to have a dialogue, with people who agree or disagree with me. But always it's important that the person on the other side knows the fact and does not support a group of people because of anti-Semitism or because of emotional feelings without any grounded information or evidence or sensitivity to the complexity of the situation. So it's hard to try and explain a complex reality to people who don't have the time, the energy, or the interest to get acquainted with this complexity.
And a little bit know about history.
Exactly.
Kas vēl ir grūti manā darbā, tas ir izskaidrot situācijas sarežģītību, jo ir cilvēki, īpaši tie ir gados jauni cilvēki, kas saņem informāciju no dažādiem digitālajiem mēdījiem un neiedziļinās lietas būtībā. Un viņi, zināmā mērā, emocionāli identificējas un pieslienas šķietami vājākajai pusē, šobrīd palestīniešiem, un neizpēta faktus, kas ir tam visam apakšā. Viņi tā kā ieņem vienu pusi bez pamatojuma. Un tāpēc man ir ļoti svarīgi veidot dialogu gan ar tiem, kas man piekrīt, gan ar tiem, kas man nepiekrīt, bet ir svarīgi, lai cilvēki zinātu faktus un nevis tikai izrādītu atbalstu, kas ir balstīts uz emocijām, varbūt antisemītisku pārliecību, bet kas nav balstīts uz faktiem un pamatotas informācijas. Un ir ļoti grūti to izskaidrot cilvēkiem, kam nav laika, kam nav enerģijas, kam nav intereses iedziļināties šajos jautājumos, un kā jūs arī pieminējāt, kas nepārzina vēstures faktus.
Kādā no 7. oktobra aculiecinieku video, ko mēs redzējām piemiņas pasākumā Rīgā, redzams, ka brīdī, kad Izraēlas debesīs parādās raķetes, vēl nav jaušums tāds liels satraukums. Kāds jaunietis vēl to filmējot saka, lūk, tā ir Izraēla, esiet sveicināti mūsu ikdienā. Vai patiešām redzēt raķetes jūsu debesīs ir tik ierasta lieta?
In one of the October 7 eyewitness videos, which was also demonstrated at the event in Riga on the 7th of October, we can see that at the moment when rockets appear in the Israel sky, people are not really worried or shocked. There is even a young man saying that, well, welcome to Israel, this is Israel, welcome to our everyday life. Is it really so common to see rockets in Israeli sky?
So, one of the best things about Israel is its people. And one of the things that is so characteristic of people in Israel is their sense of humor. So even if everything is falling down around us, we laugh about it. And unfortunately, I have to say that in the last year, since the 7th of October, but also in periods before that, in different periods before that, when our neighbors decided to shoot rockets on us, it happened. It happened quite often. From the 7th of October, it's a daily routine. We have 70,000 people, Israelis, who had to leave their home and they cannot go back to their homes. One of the reasons is those rockets. The thing is that Israel takes care of its population. So unlike Hezbollah in Lebanon or Hamas in Gaza, Israel is taking care of its population, which means that in every house, in every apartment, we have a safety room, or we have a shelter in the building, or we have a shelter close to the building, because our taxpayers' money go to protect the population. Also, we have Iron Dome. We heard about the Iron Dome or the Arrow, which showed itself to be very, very efficient. Also now, with the 200 ballistic missiles shot from Iran, and they were intercepted, all of them. So we invest a lot in protecting the population. So despite the fact that it is a daily routine, a routine that I experienced also personally quite a lot before coming to Latvia, we have a lot of resilience as Israeli society. And it's hard to believe, I know, but we live along this terror and fear and grief for what happened. We enjoy our life in Israel. We like to live there, and I think it's a great country, a great life, and we will continue to enjoy it no matter what people around us are trying to do.
Viena no lietām, kas raksturo Izraēlu kā izraēliešus kā tautu, ir humora izjūta. Mēs smejamies pat tad, ja apkārt visa dzīve sabrūk. Un arī pirms 7. oktobra pagājušajā gadā bija laiks, kad kaimiņi šāva raķetes, raidīja raķetes mūsu virzienā, bet kopš 7. oktobra tā tiešām ir kļuvusi par ikdienu. 70,000 Izraēlas iedzīvotāji ir nācies pamest savas mājas, un viņi nevar atgriezties, un viens no galvenajiem iemesliem ir šīs izšautās raķetes. Bet kas mūs atšķir no Hezbollah Libānā un Hamas Gazā, ir, ka mēs rūpējamies par saviem cilvēkiem. Katrā Izraēlas mājā, katrā dzīvoklī ir tā sauktā drošības telpa. Katrā mājā vai ļoti tuvu katrai mājai ir patvērsme, kur patvērties no raķetēm. Un tas ir tas, kam mēs izmantojam nodokļu maksātāju naudu, lai aizsargātu savu tautu. Droši vien esat dzirdējuši arī par šo te dzels aizsargu, dzels pārklāju, kas ir kupoli, kas ir izrādījies ļoti efektīvs, jo, piemēram, kad uz Izraēlu tika izšautas 200 balistiskās raķetes, lielākā daļa no tām tika pārtvērtas. Tātad Izraēla iegulda naudu, lai aizsargātu savus cilvēkus, un Izraēlas sabiedrība kā sabiedrība var lepoties ar tādu noturību, izturību pret šiem apstākļiem. Un, lai arī tam varbūt ļoti grūti noticēt, bet neskatoties uz to teroru, neskatoties uz sērām, ar ko mums nākas sastapties, mēs baudām dzīvi, mums patīk dzīvot mūsu valstī, un es domāju, ka šī ir lieliska valsts, un mēs arī turpināsim baudīt dzīvi šajā valstī.
Šī zeme kā Dieva dāvana. To, ka situācija ir nopietna, video jaunieši saprata vēlāk, ko mēs redzam, kādas bija jūsu sajūtas šī 7. oktobra rītā, kad jūs sapratāt, ka ir noticis nežēlīgs teroristu uzbrukums?
Those young people needed some time to understand what actually had happened. What were your feelings on the morning of the 7th of October when you realized that the situation was so dramatic and such a tragedy had happened?
So this is, of course, one of the days that people of Israel will always remember. What did you do on that day? So that day was a holiday in Israel. It's Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah means the joy of the Bible. Basically, it's the day when you start reading you finish a cycle of reading the Bible and you start again. Mm-hmm. So it's really a very joyful day. People go to the synagogue and dance with the Torah Bible, the Torah scrolls, and it's a very festive and happy day. And of course, they chose to do it because they knew that it's a holiday. People were on vacation, on holidays. I was with my family. We wanted to do a holiday, like a family holiday. Mm-hmm. So we went to the north of Israel, to Ramat HaGolan. And we were there, and I have a 10-year-old boy, and he, which is also something that can exist only in Israel, he had on his phone an app that gives warning whenever there are rockets being shot. And I had his phone in my room, and at 6:30 it started ringing. But I didn't understand why is it ringing. We are in Ramat HaGolan. Usually nothing happens there, and why is it ringing? I thought it's the alarm. So I switched it off. It rang again. I switched it off again. And then on the third time, I went to look at see what's happening, and I saw the news. And at the beginning, it came very slowly. And then it started with numbers of 200 people, and with time it went up to this, and we didn't know what to do, because we were in the north of the country, in Ramat HaGolan, and we live in the center, close to Tel Aviv. What do? Do you go back home? Because rockets, not only that people were being killed and slaughtered and raped and houses burned, but also rockets were being shot. So we didn't know what to do. Should we go back home? Should we stay in the north? So eventually, after, let's say, 2 hours, we decided to take the car and go back home. And I remember driving back home. The roads were empty. And it was a very, scary feeling to drive back. And, and we went home, turned on the TV, and understood that started, because we couldn't understand, of course, immediately the magnitude of the horrors that happened, and that we are beginning a war.
Jā, 7. oktobrs, protams, ir viena no dienām, par kuru tagad katrs Izrēlē atcerēsies, ko tieši darīja šajā dienā. Izrēlē šī ir brīvdiena, tā ir kāda kā Bībeles slavināšanas diena, kad cilvēki ir pabeiguši vienu Bībeles lasīšanas ciklu, uzsāks nākamo, un tie ir ļoti priecīgi svētki, cilvēki dodas uz sinagogām, dejo, priecājas, un tā kā mēs zinājām, ka šī ir brīvdiena, arī mēs ar ģimeni bijām ieplānojuši to atzīmēt kā ģimenes svētkus, un mēs ar ģimeni bijām devušies uz Izraēlas ziemeļiem. Un man ir 10 gadus vecs dēls, un viņa telefonā ir aplikācija lietotne, kas brīdina par raķešu uzbrukumiem. Viņa telefons bija manā istabā, un 6:30 tas sāka zvanīt. Es no sākuma nesapratu, kāpēc. Domāju, ka tas ir modinātājs, izslēdzu vienreiz, otrreiz, taču, kad tas zvanīja 3. reizi, tad es pievēršu tam uzmanību un ieslēdzu ziņas, lai redzētu, kas notiek. Informācija sākumā nāca ļoti lēni, mēs no sākuma uzzinājām par 200 cilvēkiem, tad šis skaitlis pieauga, un, protams, radās jautājums, ko darīt, jo mēs atradāmies ziemeļos, dzīvojam mēs centrā, ļoti tuvu Tel Avivai, un jautājums bija, vai braukt mājās, vai kur notiek visas šīs šausmas, kur gan notiek cilvēku slepkavošana, gan ir raķešu uzbrukumi, vai palikt šeit. Pēc aptuveni 2 stundām mēs pieņēmām lēmumu tomēr kāpt mašīnā un doties uz mājām, un kad mēs braucām, tad ceļi visi bija tukši, un sajūta bija diezgan baisa, diezgan bailīga. Protams, atgriežoties mājās, ieslēdzām televizoru, skatījāmies ziņas un tikai tad sākām saprast un apjaust visu šo šausmu mērogu un apjomu un saprast to, ka ir sācies karš.
Jā, šie apmēri patiešām lieli. Pēc šiem oficiālajiem datiem, kas mums pieejami, tie ir 1200 civiliedzīvotāji, kurus nogalināja Hamas teroristi un vēl vairāk nekā 250 saņēma gūstā. Ir pagājis šis gads. Kāds ir bijis šis gads? Jūs jau ieskicējāt arī par šiem uzbrukumiem joprojām, bet kāda tā situācija ir tagad un arī kādi ir tie galvenie secinājumi par šo laiku?
Yes, the scope is really dramatic. According to the official data, we know that 1,200 people were killed by Hamas and 250 were kidnapped. Now a year has passed since these events. You already started speaking about the daily life now. And how has this year been? What is the situation now?
So, first of all, it's unbelievable that it is 1 year, that 1 year has passed. And for the 101 hostages that are still in Gaza, it's unbelievable that it's 1 year. I don't know if it's possible really to imagine that you have an 18-year-old girl or an 85-year-old man, and they are taken to Gaza and held in tunnels, underground tunnels, without air, light, food, of course medical care, tortured, raped. How do you, as a member of their family, are able to wake up in the morning and live? And those families, they have an admirable strength. They get up every morning and they fight for their loved ones, and they want the world to wake up and understand that those are people who were sleeping in their homes or that were taking part in a party, in a music festival, and their only sin was the fact that they were Israelis. And they were brutally taken from their homes, and until today they are being held there. They are also executed, like 1 month ago. 6 people that spent almost a year, 11 months in those tunnels were executed because the Hamas terrorists who held them were afraid that the army will come and release them, so they just shot them straight at the head. It's an unbearable situation. The international community speaks a lot about the suffering of the Palestinians, but those 101 and before that 250 people, they were never visited, seen by the Red Cross, by International Red Cross. So the most basic obligation was never kept. We know about them from intelligence information and also from the information that people who were brought back, either in a deal or by the Israeli army, told what happened. And we saw those people coming back, in which horrible situation they came back. And when you talk about people, I told you I have a boy who is 10, but there were children his age that were held as hostages in Gaza for 2 months before they were released. And there is still a family whoever saw this image will never forget, of a mother with 2 red-haired children. One was 4 months old and the other, his brother, was 4 years old. And they were taken together with their mother, all 3 of them red-haired, and very, very sweet. And she was holding both of them. And the Hamas terrorists thought they are a legitimate target and kidnapped them to Gaza. And since then, we don't know anything about them. They were not brought back. The father of the family is held separately from them in those tunnels. And the Hamas, who is very good in propaganda, filmed this father, Yarden Bibas, and made another hostage tell him that his family, his wife and 2 children, that are held hostage were killed. And he was filmed while he was told this. So really the brutality and the barbarity of the people that we deal with is unimaginable.
Jā, ir grūti iedomāties, ka jau gads ir pagājis kad, no brīža, kopš šies 101 ķīlnieks atrodas Gazā, un tur ir gan 18-gadīgas meitenes, gan 85 gadus veci vīri. Viņi tiek turēti Gazā šajos tuneļos bez gaisa, bez apgaismojuma, bez ēdiena, bez nekādas medicīniskās palīdzības. Viņi ikdienā tiek spīdzināti, izvaroti. Un ir neiedomājami, kā viņu ģimenes locekļi spēja no rīta pamosties un dzīvot tālāk. Taču šīs ģimenes ir apbrīnojami spēcīgas. Viņas cīnās par saviem mīļajiem un cīnās par to, lai pasauli saprastu, kas notika, ka šie cilvēki bija pilnīgi nevainīgi. Viņi vai nu gulēja savā mājā, vai atradās mūzikas festivālā, un viņu vienīgais grēks bija tas, ka viņi bija izrēlieši. Un šie cilvēki tika brutāli izrauti no savām mājām, šobrīd tiek turēti šajos tuneļos. Pavisam nesen arī 6 cilvēki tika nogalināti pēc tam, kad viņi 11 mēnešus bija pavadījuši gūstā, jo Hamas baidījās, ka varētu atnākt Izraēlas armija un atbrīvot šos cilvēkus. Un ir neciešami tas, ka starptautiskā sabiedrība šobrīd izrāda atbalstu palestīniešiem viņu ciešanās, bet, piemēram, Starptautiskā sarkanā krusta organizācija nereiz nav apmeklējuši šos gūstekņus un nav izpildījuši šo savu pienākumu. Vienīgā informācija, ko mēs saņemam par šiem gūstā turētajiem cilvēkiem, ir vai nu no atgrieztajiem gūstekņiem, kas ir atgriezti apmaiņas darījumos vai kurus ir atbrīvojusi armija, un mēs redzam, cik šausmīgā stāvoklī viņi atgriežas. Kā jau es teicu, man pašai ir 10 gadus vecs dēls, un tur atrodas arī viņa vecuma bērni, kas 2 mēnešus tika turēti šajos tuneļos. Un ir stāsts par ģimeni, kur tika sagūstīta māte ar 2 bērniem, 4 mēnešus un 4 gadus veciem. Un šīs ģimenes tēvs arī tika sagūstīts, taču turēts atsevišķi. Un Hamas pat ir izveidojuši tādu kā propagandas video, kur viņi filmē tēvu tajā brīdī, kad kāds cits viņam pasaka, ka viņa sieva un abi bērni ir nogalināti. Šī brutalitāte un šis barbarisms, ar ko mēs sastopamies, ir ļoti nepieņemams un neizprotams.
Can I add? Because you asked, what does the Hamas want, basically? So it's important to say it is not a war of religion, it is not about territories, it's about annihilation, so to exist or not to exist. You know this slogan that is being used in many pro-Palestinian demonstrations, they say from the river to the sea. Mm-hmm. From the river to the sea, they shout it, but they don't know what it means. Or if they do know what it means, it's of course even worse, because it means the annihilation of the state of Israel. So to wipe out the state of Israel, this is what it means, from the river to the sea. Mm-hmm. Many of them, of course, don't know which river and which sea, but they still shout it. So it's a matter of not wanting the state of Israel to exist in this area. Mm-hmm. And if you will follow, for example, Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, on Twitter, or he says it all the time, very publicly and very often, about the need to exterminate, he doesn't refer to us as Israel, but the Zionist regime. He says it very clearly, and he not only says it, but act very aggressively to this goal, also through the proxies, the Iranian proxies. So this is what it is all about. And this is why this time we have to make everything in its power, everything in our power to never allow Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Islamic Jihad, all those around us who wish to do exactly that and exterminate us, not to enable them, not to give them the chance to fulfill those wishes.
Jūs jautājāt par to, ko Hamas vēlas panākt. Šis karš, šī cīņa nav par reliģiju vai par teritoriju, šī ir cīņa par pastāvēšanu. Un palestīniešu atbalsta demonstrācijās bieži ir dzirdams sauklis no upes līdz jūrai. Taču visticamāk, ka šie cilvēki, kas šo saukli izsauc, nemaz nezina, ko tas nozīmē, vai ja viņi zina, ko tas nozīmē, tas ir vēl ļaunāk. Tas ietver domu par Izraēlas kā valsts noslaucīšanu no zemes virsmas, no upes līdz jūrai. Protams, viņi nezina visticamāk, par kādu upi vai par kādu jūru mēs runājam. Un arī Irānas līderis, Irānas vadonis savos publiski uzstājoties, publiski un atklāti saka, ka viņš nesaka, ka ir jāiznīcina Izraēlas valsts, viņš saka, ka ir jāiznīcina režīms, kas patiesībā nozīmē to pašu, un to viņš ne tikai saka, bet arī ļoti agresīvi cīnās par šī mērķa sasniegšanu. Un tāpēc ir ļoti svarīgi, lai mēs darītu visu, kas ir mūsu spēkos, lai nekad nepieļautu šīm organizācijām panākt savu mērķi un iznīcināt Izraēlas valstis. Atvainojos.
Jā, man vienmēr ir iepriecinājis tas fakts, kad es redzu, kā izrēlieši ir gatavi atstāt, piemēram, labu dzīvi Amerikas Savienotajās valstīs un doties uz Izraēlu aizstāvēt savu dzimteni. Tas man ir fascinējis, tas man ir iepriecinājis, tas man, es domāju, kāds patriotisms, kāda deksme cīnīties par savu valsti. Un, protams, varbūt ir pārāk vienkārši šis jautājums, bet jūsuprāt, kā šobrīd iedzīvotāji uztver šo situāciju? Jo pirms 7. oktobra pagājušajā gadā Izrēlā dzīvojošie tika ļoti šķelti divās daļās. Vieni par, otri pret, it īpaši pret premjerministru Benjaminu Netanjahu. Un vai šobrīd šī situācija ir tomēr vairāk saliedējusi Izraēlas tautu?
I've always been fascinated by the fact how Israeli people are prepared to live good life, for instance, in the USA, and to return to their fatherland and to defend it, to fight for it. And how do people in Israel now perceive this situation and the war, what is happening now? I know that before the 7th of October, people in Israel were also divided for and against the Prime Minister, but how about this time, how it has contributed to people like being more solidar?
So, like I said before, that one of the things that make me love Israel so much is because of its people. Mm-hmm. I think it's really... What is amazing is that there are so many good people that really feel solidarity one for another. Mm-hmm. We feel obliged to help each other. We feel committed to the destiny of our country. And I don't think there are many countries in the world where young people, you know, after the army, you do your military service, men and women, the same, for between 2 and 3 years. So after you are 3 years a soldier, many young people want to go and take a long journey, go to South America or to Asia, and get energy, gather energy before they start life. Yeah. And on the 7th of October, when they understood what happened and when they understood that we are fighting for our life in this country, there was such a demand of people, of young people, to come back and join the army and join their friends who are fighting, because there is a great feeling of commitment and brotherhood or sisterhood between people who are fighting together. So they didn't want to leave their friends fighting in the army, and they will continue their trip. So many of them returned, and there was a much bigger demand to return than flights available. And I think this is something very unique, that on one hand, this is a democracy, and people have different opinions, and this is great and important that it is so. And I have to say that I'm very proud of the fact that we have people going on the streets and demonstrating about whatever they want to demonstrate about, because it means that they care, they have opinions about what's happening in the country, and they want to express their opinions and influence. And it's a good thing, it's a vibrant democracy. But when things get hard, like what happened to us on the 7th of October, no matter what our political opinions, what we think about the government, we unite and go and fight and defend our country. And this is true for, Jews, Arab, Druze, all the people who are the fabric of Israeli society. We go and fight and win. And of course, there are still disputes and different political opinions. But I truly believe that all of us care for the welfare of this country and its people.
Es jau iepriekš teicu, ka tas, kas man visvairāk patīk Izrēlā un ko es visvairāk mīlu Izrēlā, ir Izraēlas tauta. Un tas ir tiešām vienreizēji, cik daudz mūsu vidū ir labu cilvēku un kāda ir solidaritāte viņu starpā. Viņi visi izjūt šo pienākumu palīdzēt valstī. Un daudzi jauni cilvēki pēc dienesta armijā, viņiem pie mums militārais dienests ir 2 līdz 3 gadi, dienē gan puiši, gan meitenes. Un pēc šī perioda daudzi no viņiem izvēlas doties uz Dienvidameriku, uz Āziju, lai paceļotu un lai sagatavotos turpmākajai dzīvei. Taču kas notika pēc 7. oktobra, kad cilvēki saprata, šie jaunieši saprata, kas ir noticis, tad lielākā daļa no viņiem tūlīt pat vēlējās atgriezties, vēlējās iestāties armijā, vēlējās pievienoties saviem draugiem, kas jau cīnījās. Un šī brālības sajūta ir tiešām vienreizēja, ka jaunieši nevēlas pamest savus draugus šādā situācijā. Pieprasījums, lai atgrieztos Izrēlā, bija tik liels, ka pat nepietika lidojumu. Un viena no unikālajām lietām ir tā, ka, protams, mūsu valstī ir demokrātija, ir dažādi uzskati, dažādas politiskās pārliecības, ir arī strīdi un domstarpības, taču tad, kad ir jāapvienojas kopīgā cīņā, tad tas viss tiek atlikts maliņā un cilvēki apvienojas un visa sabiedrība cīnās kopā kā viens.
Bijušais ASV armijas komandieris Eiropā, Bens Hodžers, uzskata, ka karš tuvajos austrumos ir saistīts ar Krievijas karu pret Ukrainu. Vai arī jūs redzat kontekstu starp notikušo Ukrainā un kas notiek Izrēlā?
As a former commander of the US Army in Europe, Ben Hodge believes that the war in the Middle East is related to Russia's war against Ukraine. Do you see any linkage here between what's happening in Israel and what's happening in Ukraine?
Piedošana, un vēl plus tam klāt, vēl jau vairāk ņemot vērā, ka arvien vairāk atklājās, ka Krievija ir tuvs draugs Irānai.
And moreover, taking into account that there is more and more information evidencing that Russia is a close friend to Iran.
So you are absolutely right. There is a very clear connection between Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the challenges, the security challenges in your area, in Europe, which is Russia. So there is, of course, evidence about cooperation, about the transfer of missiles from one side to the other, of drones. You also saw them here, one of them in Latvia. So there is a very close, very worrying cooperation. Of course, that Iran is not doing it pro bono, and it's getting assistance in return. So yes, there is definitely a very worrying cooperation between Russia and Iran, and this is why we have to say that we have to look at our challenges not as two separate areas, two separate scenes of operation, but to understand the connection, to look at it from the broader aspect of geostrategic challenges that we have to face together. Because our rivals, they work in very close cooperation. They help each other. While we look only each one at our area and don't cooperate enough, criticize, we are being criticized, but not really understood, and it's a shame. Because I think that it's important to learn from Israel's experience. We also did mistakes on the 7th of October, obviously. And I think that it's important that we should share our experience and the mistakes we did, and also the successes that we have for the sake of our partners, of our allies that are facing similar challenges. Iran is a major threat, not only for Israel, but also for Europe. And its terroristic activity is already endangering, putting the citizens of Europe in danger. It's a nuclear program that is advancing all the time, continues to advance. So we have to work together, the international community, to put much more pressure on Iran, more sanctions, to enforce the existing one and to have new ones, and to treat Iran with all the seriousity that such a challenge deserves.
Jā, jums ir absolūta taisnība, ka pastāv šī ciešā saikne starp Irānu, Hamas, Hezbollah, un tas rada drošības izaicinājumu. Tas ir ļoti sasaucts ar tiem drošības izaicinājumiem, kas pastāv Eiropā, proti ar Krieviju. Un ir daudz un dažādi pierādījumi par šo valstu sadarbību. Tās ir gan raķetes, gan droni, ko jūs jau arī Latvijā esat redzējuši. Un, protams, Irāna nesniedz visu šo palīdzību Krievijai aiz labas sirds kā pro bono. Arī viņi saņem palīdzību par to. Un tāpēc, jā, šīs situācijas ļoti sasaucas, un uz šo nevajadzētu skatīties kā uz divām atsevišķām frontēm, diviem atsevišķiem notikumiem. Ir jāsaprot šie kopīgie ģeostrateģiskie izaicinājumi un jāsaprot saikne starp šiem notikumiem, un nedrīkst katrs tā izolēties tikai un koncentrēties uz savām problēmām. Protams, arī Izraēla 7. oktobrī pieļāva kļūdas, no kurām ir jāmācās, un tāpēc ir svarīgi, lai Izraēla dalītos gan ar savu pieredzi, gan ar kļūdām, gan ar panākumiem, un tos savā labā varētu izmantot mūsu partneri un mūsu sabiedrotie. Irāna šobrīd ir draudz gan Izraēlai, gan Eiropai, un teroristiskās šīs organizācijas jau šobrīd apdraud Eiropu. Un tāpēc, jā, ir jāapvienojas un ir jācīnās pret to kopā.
Jā, jūs jau minējāt, ka viens no jūsu darbiem ir skaidrot, informēt sabiedrību par notiekošo jūsu valstī, bet kā jūs vispār vērtējat starptautiskās sabiedrības informētību par notikumiem Izrēlā?
You already mentioned that it is one of your tasks to raise awareness, international awareness of what's happening in your country. But what's your evaluation? How do you assess the international community's awareness of what's going on in Israel?
So I think that many people, first of all, they, of course, get their information from from the news, and they don't live in Israel. You know, I lived half of my life, I lived in Europe. So I really understand European mentality and the way of thinking, and I understand how hard it is to, when you live in Europe, which is mostly, although you have those threats, but mostly it's a quiet, beautiful, green continent surrounded by usually peaceful countries. It's really impossible to understand what it means to live in a country that wants to prosper, to succeed, that does it not only once, but is surrounded by horrible enemies that want to exterminate it. It's impossible to understand. You might think that you understand, but you can never realize. And there are many people who are sitting in the safety of their living room and have opinions and advices about what Israel should do, how it should fight terrorism, how it should protect civilians. Of course, they don't know practically how it's possible to do it, but they have a lot of good advices. So I want to thank all those good wishers and all those people with good advice and good intentions, but you are not there. You have no clue how it should be done. So it's really frustrating, this lack of understanding, sometimes of support for a country that, like I said, is fighting for not only for itself, but for all those who want to live in peace and safety, including in Europe. But there are many other countries and people who do understand and support Israel and show solidarity. And for us, it's very, very important and appreciated.
Lielākā daļa cilvēku, protams, iegūst informāciju no ziņām, un nedzīvojot Izrēlā, to ir ļoti grūti izprast. Es esmu pusi savas dzīves pavadījusi Eiropā, tāpēc man nav sveši, es labi izprotu gan Eiropas mentalitāti, gan domāšanas veidu. Un es saprotu arī, ka dzīvojot Eiropā mierīgu dzīvi, drošos apstākļos, valstī, kuras kaimiņi ir miermīlīgas valstis, ir grūti saprast, kā ir dzīvot tik šausmīgos apstākļos, kāda ir Izrēlā, ka Izrēlu ieskauj valsts, kas vēlas mūsu valsti iznīcināt. Un tāpēc ļoti daudz tādu cilvēku, kas sēž drošībā savā dzīvojumā istabā, taču viņiem ir viedokļi, viņiem ir ieteikumi, kā vajadzētu vai nevajadzētu cīnīties pret terorismu, kā vajadzētu vai nevajadzētu aizsargāt civiliedzīvotājus, taču viņiem nav nekādas izpratnes par to, kāda ir situācija patiesībā un kā to varētu darīt. Un, protams, liels paldies visiem tiem cilvēkiem, kas vēl mums labu, kas arī dod labus padomus un atbalsta, taču reizēm pārsteidzoši un pat šokējoši ir izpratnes un arī atbalsta trūkums Izrēlai kā valstī, kas cīnās ne tikai par sevi, bet arī par visiem pārējiem, kas vēlas dzīvot mierā un drošībā. Bet mēs esam ļoti pateicīgi visiem tiem daudzajiem cilvēkiem un valstīm, kas atbalsta mūs un kas izrāda solidaritāti mums.
Par ko mēs varam Izraēlas tautu atbalstīt? Jūs sacījāt par šo atbalstu, ka jūs izsakat pateicību, bet ko mēs kā Latvija, kā Latvijas valsts iedzīvotāji, kā kristieši, kā mēs varam jūs atbalstīt?
You mentioned that you are thankful for the support you receive, but what can we in Latvia do to support you, Latvia as a country, Latvian people, and Latvian people as Christians? How can we support you?
Thank you very much for the question, and also for being here with you today and being able to explain where I come from, where the state of Israel is today, how do we live, what we have to face. It's an important opportunity, and I welcome every occasion to have this dialogue. So for us, when in Israel we see all those hateful demonstrations, those mass demonstrations of hate, of violent demonstration actually in many European countries or in in Northern America. It's a horrible feeling because not only that you think that you're not safe in your own country, but also you see how you feel that the world is against you. But it's not like that. It's only the noisy ones who attract attention. If you are noisy, you attract attention. Mm-hmm. If you are not, and the majority supports Israel, but this majority is not always vocal enough. So if you see those demonstrations, or if you see on Twitter or digital media in general, the vocal minority is the one who attracts attention. And I think it's important to have the other voice, the voice of solidarity and support, of understanding of Israel, be heard as well. So to show solidarity, because for people in Israel, we really need it, and we observe it, we watch it, who is on our side, and we never forget it, and we truly appreciate it. So I would say just this, and when you talk to other people, to bring forward this message that Israel is not fighting against civilians. We do not want to hurt civilians. There is no one in the world who wants to live in peace more than Israel. When we greet each other, the greeting that we greet each other is shalom, and shalom means peace. And we are the ones who pay the price of war. So there is nobody who wants to live in peace more than we do. It's our children who go to fight in the army, so of course we want them to come back home. And we have nothing against the Palestinian people, nothing against the Lebanese people, nothing against the Iranian people. We fight those who want to kill us. So it's the Hamas, the Hezbollah, the radical regime in Iran, not the population. And those are the messages that I think that many people in Lebanon and in Iran understand, but not always people maybe in Europe. And this is an important message that I always appreciate, helping making people understand.
Paldies par jautājumu, un paldies arī par iespēju būt šeit šodien un piedalīties šajā sarunā, jo tas man dod iespēju izskaidrot situāciju Izrēlā cilvēkiem, un tā ir ļoti svarīga iespēja, jo bieži mēs redzam šīs naidīgās, mežonīgās demonstrācijas gan Eiropas valstīs, gan Ziemeļamerikā, un tad rodas tāda mānīga sajūta, ka mēs nevaram justies droši ne savās mājās, ne arī citur pasaulē. Taču tā nav. Tā situācija ir tāda tikai tāpēc, ka šis mazākums, kas uzvedas ļoti skaļi, viņi piesaista uzmanību, bet lielākā daļa cilvēku, kas mūs atbalsta, varbūt nedara to pietiekami skaļi. Un tāpēc ir ļoti svarīgi paust solidaritāti, paust atbalstu un darīt to pamanāmi, jo mēs, protams, redzam to, mēs to novērojam un mēs to nekad neaizmirsīsim un ļoti augstu novērtējam. Un tai ziņai, kam vajadzētu nonākt pie sabiedrības, ir, ka Izraēla nekādā gadījumā necīnās, nekaro pret civiliedzīvotājiem. Mēs nekādā gadījumā nevēlamies nodarīt pāri civiliedzīvotājiem. Izraēla vairāk kā jebkura cita valsts pasaulē vēlas dzīvot mierā. Pat mūsu sveiciens, kā mēs sasveicināmies, satiekoties, ir šalom, kas nozīmē miers. Un šobrīd ir tā, ka mēs maksājam šo kara cenu par mieru. Mūsu bērni ir tie, kas dodas cīnīties, un mēs, protams, vēlamies, lai viņi visi atgrieztos mājās. Mēs nekarojam pret Palestīnas, Libānas vai Irānas iedzīvotājiem. Mēs karojam, mēs cīnāmies pret šiem teroristiskajiem režīmiem un organizācijām, kas vēlas mūs nogalināt. Un tāpēc šādas ziņas, tādas patiesas ziņas paušana un popularizēšana ir ļoti liela palīdzība.
Cienījamie Izraēlas vēstniece Latvijā Sandru Simoviču kundze. Es jūs gribu vispirms teikt paldies, ka jūs esat šeit. Un otrs, es jūs gribu iedrošināt. Un šo iedrošinājumu pēc iespējas jūs varat droši teikt Izraēlas tautai no mums šeit Latvijas Kristīgā radio klausītājiem un man kā Kristīgā radio vadītāji. Fakts, ka Izraēlas valsts 1948. gadā 14. maijā tika atjaunota. Tas ir brīnums. Pastāvīgie mēģinājumi, tie jau ir gadiem, kā jūs sacījāt, izdzēst no pasaules kartas Izraēlas valsti kā tādu. Tie ir. Bet es esmu pilnīgi pārliecināts par to, ka tie visi mēģinājumi piedzīvos neveiksmi. Par to liecināja Irānas tiešais uzbrukums, kur Irāna raidīja apmēram 200 balistiskās raķetes uz Izraēlu. Un gāja bojā tajā laikā tikai viens Palestīnas, ja nemaldos, cilvēks, kas pats sevi pakļāva briesmām un nebija paslēpies. Es jūs gribu iedrošināt un sacīt, tā ir mana pārliecība. Izraēla nekad un vēlreiz nekad netiks iznīcināta. Man ļoti iepriecina Izraēlas premjerministra vārdi, Benjamin Netanjahu sacītie vārdi. Izraēlas pilsoņi turpinās cīnīties kopā un ar Dieva palīdzību kopā uzvarēs.
First of all, thank you very much for coming, and I really want to encourage you, and I want you to convey this encouragement to Israel and Israeli people, because the fact that the state of Israel was restored in 1948, this was a miracle, and there have been continuous attempts to delete this country from the global map. But I'm totally sure that all those attempts will fail. This is evidenced by the attack of Iran, recent attack, where they fired 200 ballistic missiles, and only one person who had not taken care of himself was killed. And I really want to convey this encouragement to you and my assurance that Israel will never be eliminated from the map. And I was very glad to hear the words said by your Prime Minister that the citizens of Israel continue fighting together and they will win with the help of the God.
Mēs lūdzam par Izraelu. Mēs turpināsim lūgt par Izraēlu, lūgsim arī par jums, par jūsu ģimeni, un mēs vēlam Dievu svētību pār jums un jūsu tautu. Lai Dievs jūs svētī bagātīgi.
We do pray, and we will continue praying for Israel, for you and your family, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much. And if I can say, last week was the Jewish New Year, and this evening is Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
And I want to wish you also and your family a good year, a sweet year that will bring you only all the good things that you wish for yourselves. And also because today it's Yom Kippur, so usually we wish each other, may you be signed in the book of life. Yeah. So this is what I want to wish you, and thank you very much for inviting me today.
Thank you.
Paldies arī jums, un es vēlos atgādināt, kā pagājušā nedēļa tika svinēts ebreju jaunais gads, un es tāpēc vēlu arī jums un jūsu ģimenēm labu izdevušos gadu, lai tas atnes jums tikai to, ko jūs paši vēlēsieties. Un viens no mūsu novēlējumiem, ko mēs izsakām šajā dienā, ir lai jūs ierakstātu savu vārdu dzīvības grāmatā.
Paldies! Brīnišķīgs novēlējums. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Un, cienījamie radioklausītāji, turpināsim lūgt par Izraēlu. Jo Dievvārds mums saka, svētījiet, tad arī jūs tapsiet svētīti. Lai Dievs jūs visus bagātīgi svētī, un, ja tas kungs atļaus, un mēs būsim šeit, tad tiksimies atkal pēc 7 dienām. Lai Dievs svētī visu labu.